The next challenge is challenge number 8, and it says to write a sketch that loops the red and blue LEDs 10 times and then stops. So this is about how to actually control loops, and what we're going to do is we're going to write a loop control inside this void setup part. So what we do know is we know how to write the code for a red light and a blue light, but in order for us to write a loop, what we do is we say for, this is the start of it, and we're going to say in the brackets int. Now the word int stands for integer, which if you understand maths, an integer is a whole number. So we're telling the computer, get ready, here comes an integer that we're going to call I, and at the moment I is going to equal 0. We're going to close that part off with a semicolon, and we're going to say, all right, I at the moment is, we're going to make sure that I is less than or equal to 10. And then what we want to do is we want to step I up. So we do I plus plus, and then we close the bracket. Now, the computer understands that I at the moment is 0. If I run this piece of code, it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10. So it's going to loop my loop for 10 times, and that is what this challenge is asking us. Loops the red and blue LEDs 10 times and then stops. The next part of this is I have to open a curly brace for this piece of code, and if I press enter, I get another curly brace for this one, and I also have a curly brace for that one. So in here, I have to write the code for the red and blue light. So I'm going to say Esplora dot write RGB, and I want a red light, so I do 25502 for the red light. I'm going to put a delay here for just 100 milliseconds, just so that I can see the two lights. Dot write RGB, and now I need a blue light, so I don't want a red light, I want it to turn off, and I don't want a green light, I want that to be at 255, and there we have my loop that's going to run those two lights for 10 times, and I'm just going to put a delay here as well of 100 milliseconds, and I'm going to check, write a sketch that loops the red and blue LEDs 10 times and then stops. So this part here tells the computer to run this loop for 10 times. Now, if that number was 100, it would run it 100 times, right? If I was a different letter, it would run whatever the different letter is 10 times, right? So we'd change that over. So I can now check that and make sure that works. All right, and this is where the syntax errors come in. A lot of students forget, sometimes they put a little semicolon there instead of a curly brace, and they forget to close off that curly brace, and they forget to close off that curly brace as well, which is everything happening in the setup is those ones, and that is inside that curly brace. So that is the answer to challenge number 8.